إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهدي الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا وحبيبنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله. قال الله تعالى في كتابه العزيز بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وأنفقوا مما رزقناكم من قبل أن يأتي أحدكم الموت فيقول رب لولا أخرتني إلى أجل قريب فأصدق وأكن من الصالحين. فقال النبي الكريم صلى الله تعالى عليه وسلم الدنيا سجن المؤمن وجنة الكافر أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. أما بعد. All praise are due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for gathering us here today in His home, granting us this opportunity to fulfill the rights that are due unto Him. And all praise are due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for guiding us to this path of Islam, this path of salvation, wherein bi'idhnillahi ta'ala we will be gathered in His paradise together, gazing at His face azza wa jalla. And all praise are due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for sending us His last and final beloved messenger Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. The Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, in a narration that recently just started to come to my head for some reasons I'll mention, he says, اغتنم خمسا قبل خمس. Take advantage of, seize the opportunity for 5 things before 5 things. And many of us have no doubt heard this hadith. But the reason this came to my mind was because one of these 5, they happened to me. You see, last week, subhanAllah, I was having a normal day. I woke up, prayed Fajr, I had some breakfast, and I went upstairs to my room and I started to take a shower. And after I finished getting out of the shower, as I stepped out of the shower, all of a sudden I just felt this pain in my neck. And I had no idea what was going on, but it was absolutely the worst pain I have ever felt in my entire life. And I had to put my hand there just to get some semblance of relief from the pain. And I was holding on to it standing like this. My head was crooked. And I couldn't move my head. Out of nowhere. And no, I didn't sleep wrong. I don't know what it was. And to this day, I still don't know what it was. I went to my friend, my roommate, and I said, Malik, I don't know what's wrong, but my neck is stuck. I can't move anything. I can't do anything. And so he said, okay, well, what should we do? So I said, let me call some friends who are doctors and we'll see. So they gave me some advice, but they couldn't do anything because they're not in Texas, where I live. So I'm like, okay, let's go to the hospital. So we go to the hospital, and they run test after test after test, and I'm just sitting there all the while with my head crooked. And when I left the hospital that day, I remember the thing that bothered me the most was that because of something I had no control over, because of something I could not have planned for, because of something that I had no idea was coming, I could not make sujood. I couldn't put my head on the ground. I had been planning to go read some books to study, and I couldn't do it because I could barely move. The reason this is relevant, the Prophet ﷺ, he mentions in this hadith 5 things that we need to be mindful of before 5 other things come and take away that. The first the Prophet ﷺ mentions is شَبَابَكَ قَبْلَ حَرَمِكَ. Your youth before old age hits. Anybody who's sitting here who's a parent, no doubt you remember your own days as a child. And you're sitting here wondering, if you really take some time to reflect, you would be asking yourself, how did I get here? How am I at a point where now I'm the father, where before I was the son? Where I'm the mother, where before I was the daughter? How did this happen? We always ask ourselves, where did the time go? We remember the good times. We remember being in school. We remember being with our friends, not having a care in the world. Those are the days that we look back on, that we long for. The Prophet ﷺ is saying, be mindful of the fact that you are not always going to be as young as you are at this moment. Time is constantly passing by each and every single one of us. Each and every single one of us. There's an old saying that time is undefeated. And it's true. Time affects every single individual. There is nobody who is free from it. The only one is Al-Wahid Al-Qahhar, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Time does not affect Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is beyond it. It is His creation. But the Prophet ﷺ, he tells us before you get to that point, when at one point you have strength, you have ability, before it comes to a point where you don't have that ability, take advantage of it. Use it. If you have the ability to pray, make sure you pray standing up. Make sure you do it when it comes in. Because do you know what's coming next? When do we know that old age is about to hit us? Is it just like that? Is it just a moment? Does a sign come to us? Does something descend from the heavens? Old age has now arrived. Nothing of the sort. When we get to that point in our lives and we haven't taken advantage of the energy, the strength that we had, it's too late. It's too late. The next one, and this is the one that's relevant to what I was talking about, my own personal story, was صِحَّتِكَ قَبْلَ سَقَمِكَ. Your health before you become sick. Because, brothers and sisters, I had a lot of plans for that day. I had a lot of things that I was planning for. I'm going to do this, study this, read this, present this, prepare this. And everything was derailed because out of nowhere, I had the worst pain I've ever felt in my life in my neck. And my head got stuck in one position. Ajeen. Right? And imagine, well, alhamdulillah, I was blessed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only affected me with that temporarily. But imagine if that was permanent. Ask yourself what you would do in a moment when you had something occur to you that you could not have foreseen. Don't you think the first thought you would have is that I wish I had done such and such thing? Don't ever let yourself be in a position where you can think that. I wish I had done more sujood. I wish I had read more Quran before my eyesight started to go. I wish that I had been healthier, walked more, run more, gone to the gym more, before it came to a point where I didn't even have the strength to walk around. The Prophet ﷺ is telling us very clearly, you don't know when you're going to have sickness. Tomorrow, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not guaranteed any one of us tomorrow. Do you know who guarantees us tomorrow? Shaitan. That's who guarantees you tomorrow. That when you have an opportunity to do khair in front of you, to do something good, to do something righteous, Shaitan says, tomorrow it'll still be there. It's good. It's no worries. It's okay. But Allah didn't promise us tomorrow. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not say you have this much time. He says you have as much time as you have. And that secret is with Him. That secret is with Him. Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu, he mentions that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam came to him once and he grabbed onto him and he said, Kun fi dunya gharib, aw abir as-sabil. Be a stranger in this world. And when he was asked about what that meant, he said, when you wake up in the morning, don't be planning out every single moment of your nighttime. When you go to sleep at night, don't be thinking about every single thing, planning out every small detail of your daytime. And this is not to say you shouldn't plan. This is not to say you shouldn't plan. But rather, it's don't be so caught up in what you think you're going to be able to do that you lose sight of the fact that the only reason you get that is because it's a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The only reason you're able to have tomorrow is because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave it to you. But when you start planning every single detail, night and day, you start to lose sight of the bigger picture. You start to lose sight of the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you this opportunity. And now the only thing you're focused on is fulfilling every single part of that schedule instead of doing what you're supposed to, instead of worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as He deserves to. The Prophet ﷺ then said, وَغِنَاكَ قَبَلَ فَقْرِكَ, and your wealth before your poverty. Each and every single one of us who is old enough to remember surely remembers the year 2007 and 8, when the worst recession this country has seen hit. And for most people it was out of nowhere. غِنَاكَ قَبَلَ فَقْرِكَ, your wealth before your poverty hits. Do you know when your job decides, you know what, we don't want this guy? Do you know when these things are going to happen? None of us know when these things are going to happen. All of these things, when you think about it, the key factor in it is that you don't know. You have no idea about it. And so what's the solution? Being proactive. When you don't know about something, when you don't know what's going to happen, you have to be proactive. And what does that mean? Perhaps that means doing something physically. Perhaps that means speaking to someone. But it also means making dua. Asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for His tawfiq in this action. Turning to Him in those moments. You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that تِلْكَ الْأَيَّامُ نُدَاوِلُهَا بَيْنَ النَّاسِ. Talking about, right before that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if a wound should touch you, if some difficulty or problem should afflict you, this is something that happened to people before you as well. Don't think that you are such that your problem was never experienced by someone before you. And then Allah says, these are the days that we alternate between people, good and bad. Whatever good times we have in front of us, brothers and sisters, I want you to know it is not going to last in this world. There will come some gham. There will come some difficulty or problems. This is not my words. These are Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's words. وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. Allah says, I am absolutely going to test you with something from fear, from hunger, from loss of wealth and life and fruits. I'm going to test you. This is a promise from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in Arabic it comes with the emphasis. I am absolutely going to test you. Don't have any doubts. And so for a mu'min, a Muslim, the difference between you and someone else, you know it's coming. Other people live their lives thinking they can reach some state where they'll forever be happy in this dunya. But it doesn't exist. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Ad-dunya sijnul mu'mini wa jannatul kafir." This dunya is a prison for the believer. And it is the paradise for a disbeliever. They think they will find eternal salvation here. They think they will have whatever they want here. But it doesn't happen in this dunya, brothers and sisters. The Prophet ﷺ mentions, وَفِرَاغَ فَقَبَلَ شُغْلٍ. Your free time before you become busy. Maybe right now you're in college and you have more free time. But the moment you step off that campus, guess what? You're working. Constantly working. The number one response when you ask people how they're doing, chances are it's going to be busy. I'm busy. That's what this world is. And especially nowadays, what do we see? An obsession with working more and more and more and more and more, earning more money, and doing whatever it takes to get to that. Before that time comes, though, you have a moment. You have an opportunity. You have free time. And you can't simply just waste it away. What we have to recognize, brothers and sisters, is there is not a moment in this life that we will not be asked about by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The day will come when we stand in front of Him, and when we are asked about what it is that we did with our life, we may not have an answer if we didn't use our time wisely. Am I saying right now that you need to constantly be praying, making dhikr and doing all these things right off the bat? No, I'm not saying that. Everybody has a journey. Everybody has a path. And to recognize that, to understand that and make an effort, that's the first part of coming towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is why the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us, أَحَبُّ الْأَعْمَالِ إِلَى اللَّهِ أَدْوَمُهَا وَإِنْ قَلَّ. The most beloved deeds to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are those that are consistent. Because consistency is going to breed continuity. It's going to breed success. Consistency, as they say, is the mother of all success. And if you're consistent, even if you're doing something small, you have a connection. You have a door. You have a pathway. But you can't simply just say, no, I'll do that when I'm older. Because the unfortunate fact, brothers and sisters, is the graves are filled with brothers and sisters who said that, oh, I'll be religious when I'm older. They're filled. And it's a sad fact. But it's a reality. I want you to think about what it is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us when He talks about those people who will stand in front of Him. He says, وَأَنْفِقُوا مِمَّا رَزَقْنَاكُمْ مِنْ قَبْلِ أَنْ يَأْتِيَ أَحَدَكُمُ الْمَوْتِ. Spend what you have before death comes to you. فَيَقُولُ رَبِّي. Then when death comes to you and you stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you're answering for your deeds. فَيَقُولُ رَبِّي لَوْلَا أَخَّرْتَنِي إِلَىٰ أَجْلٍ قَرِيبٍ فَأَصَّدَّقَ. Oh Allah, just give me a little more time. Ya Allah, I know I didn't do as much good as I could have. I know that there was more I could have done. Ya Allah, just give me a little more time, please. Just a little more time. And I'll give in charity. وَأَكُمْ مِنَ الصَّالِحِينَ. And I'll be righteous. I'll do whatever it takes. And the honest to goodness truth, brothers and sisters, is that that is going to be all of us. You will never be able to. I will never be able to. Nobody in this dunya will ever be able to do enough. The reason we enter Jannah is not because of our a'mal. It's not because of our good deeds. The reason we enter Jannah is because of the mercy, the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as the Prophet ﷺ told us. It's Allah's mercy that He overlooks the millions of mistakes that we make. The constant sins that we're engulfed in. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looks at us and He says, I made you weak, mankind. خُلِقَ الْإِنسَانُ ضَعِيفًا. And so I forgive you as long as you turn to me. As long as you make an effort to me, I will forgive you. This is in Hadith Qudsi of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If you make an effort, if you try, if you do what you're supposed to do, even if the results aren't what I ask you for, as long as you try, Allah says, you will have my mercy. You will have His mercy. We will have His mercy. Another individual, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about, حَتَّى إِذَا جَاءَ أَحَدَهُمُ الْمَوْتِ. When death comes to this person, قَالَ رَبِّ ارْجِعُونَ. Ya Allah, send me back. Ya, just a little more time. Please, just a little. 5 more minutes, please. 5 more minutes. لَعَلِّي أَعْمَلُ صَالِحًا. Maybe I can do some good deeds. فِيمَا تَرَكْتُ. In what I left. I'll do some good deeds. Allah's response? Succinct. Very simple. كَلَّا. Nope. No way. No. That's the response. Take this analogy. Take this example. Put yourself in that moment. If you want to do it in a dunyawi example, you have to finish your exam. The teacher says, time's up. And you're just, 5 more minutes, please. 5 more minutes. What does the teacher say? No. You had your chance. You had your time. Your opportunity was in front of you. If you squandered it, if you wasted it, whose fault is that? And that's what it comes down to, brothers and sisters. The best chance we have of coming towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, none of this is to make anyone feel hopeless. The best chance we have of coming towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is finding the ability to be consistent in the small things. And that lays the groundwork, lays the foundation for the big things. If you can't pray 5 times a day right now, then don't focus on that. Focus on making sure you get 3 down pat and make Allah for the others. And work at it. Make an effort. Make a slow effort that's consistent. And Allah's promise, وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. If you make an effort, we will guide you. We will help you. We will make it easy for you. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it easy for us. الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين سيدنا ونبينا مولانا محمد وآله وصحبه وسلم. قال الله عز وجل في كتابه العزيز بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ولنبلونكم بشيء من الخوف والجوع ونقص من الأموال والأنفس والثمرات وبشر الصابرين الذين إذا أصابتهم مصيبة قالوا إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون أولئك عليهم صلوات من ربهم ورحمة وأولئك هم المهتدون. فقال النبي الكريم صلى الله تعالى عليه وسلم في آخر حديثه وحياتك قبل موتك أما بعد. The very last thing the Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam says in this hadith of 5 before 5 as we know it, taking advantage of 5 before 5, he says take advantage of your life before your death. Your life before your death. And you know, subhanAllah, I could not have imagined that this would be the case. But there's a janazah. There's literally a brother who has passed, who is in this hall. He's gone. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive him. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enter him into Jannah without any hisab. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for his family, but his time is up. And the question he will have in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, did you take advantage of your life before your death? This is all encompassing, brothers and sisters. This is the key at the end of the day. The path to it, brothers and sisters, the action items, it's not complicated. We can't get lost thinking that, oh, if I didn't do this thing, then I'm doomed. If you can't read the Quran, it's okay. Read the translation. But don't lose yourself. Don't be lost to the point where you don't take advantage of anything before Malikul Maut comes to you. And he says, time is up. He says, that's it. And there's no more 5 minutes. There's no extra, just a little bit more. With Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the answer is going to be very simple. Kalla. No. For each and every single one of us, brothers and sisters, I cannot stress enough. Find something small and consistent. If you already do more, if you already are at a higher level, by all means, continue that. But if you're not there, if you're at a place where maybe you feel uncomfortable, maybe right now listening to this, it's bothering you a little bit, that's okay. That's a good thing. The ulama tell us that guilt, when we feel guilt, that's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's a path back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. if you don't feel like you're doing enough, find something small. Something that seems insignificant. But I promise you, if it's even just one word of the Quran every single day, one verse of the Quran every single day, half a page of the Quran every single day, we have an Allah who is Ash-Shakur. We have an Allah who is the grateful. And subhanAllah, it just throws me off when I hear that term for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because I seem like someone who's proper to be grateful, an individual, a human being, who others do something for, and I am grateful to them. Who can do anything for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Who does anything for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Who is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in need of? And yet even still, He is grateful. Even still, He rewards people for the smallest of actions. And I'll finish with a small story. That there was a man once in the previous nations. He was madly in love with a woman. And he wanted to marry this woman. And so he did what he wanted. He went to somebody who was a magician. This magician said, you can't do anything righteous for 40 days, and then I'll give you a charm. I'll give you something that'll help you to marry this woman. And so the man, he accepts this, and he says, fine, I'll do it. And he goes off. He comes back 40 days later, he gets the charm. He goes and he tries, it doesn't work out. He comes back to this magician, and the magician is perplexed. He says, there's no way, this had to have worked. This had to have worked. Is there anything that you did that was righteous? Anything you did that was good in those 40 days? Anything? He says, I stayed away from everything. Honestly, the only thing I can even imagine for a second is that I kicked a can out of the road so it wouldn't bother people. I kicked something out of the road that would affect people when they travel. And at that moment, what does this musician say? Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. You're a fool. Because you have an Allah that rewards for even something so insignificant. You have a Lord who forgives. We have a Lord who is grateful and gives reward for the smallest of things. So find that small thing, brothers and sisters, and be consistent. And watch as the barakah flows into our lives. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us for our shortcomings. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to come closer to Him. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to be consistent. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى ال محمد كما صليت على ابراهيم وعلى ال ابراهيم انك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى ال محمد كما باركت على ابراهيم وعلى ال ابراهيم انك حميد مجيد ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم عباد الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحش والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون اذكروا هذا الذي يذكركم واشكروه يزدكم واستغفروه يغفر لكم واتقوه يجعل لكم من أمركم مخرجا وأقيموا الصلاة